Hey YouTube. So figured it's time that I do a episode one, creating the first character for Traveler System in Foundry Virtual Tabletop. If you check the description, you might find a link to my first video. Just goes over my setup for my Traveler edition of Foundry Virtual Tabletop, and changing the settings, importing all the skills, etc., etc. In between that video and now, the only thing that has changed is that I have installed two modules. I've installed Monk's Enhanced Journal and Pop-Out. Both of those will have no bearing on this video. They just do a couple of basic things. Pop-Out adds a pop-out button to any browser-based um, instance of the software. So if you're logged into the software using your browser, you can pop out a window for anything that you open up. So if you have a character sheet open, you could pop that out into a separate window. Monk's Enhanced Journal just adds a few changes to the CSS of journals, makes them a little bit easier to view. And I will go over one quick tip on something that's really powerful in Foundry VTT using that. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to use the same world. Again, I said no, so I'm going to log in as my game master. And first change that, I want to go to my journal and I'm going to delete this. I'm going to start from scratch. And say you have a copy of the core rulebook, your PDF, and you want to give your players access to it. In order to do so, what you want to do is you want to create a journal entry, name it whatever you want. I'm just going to call it core rulebook. Type, we're going to go for PDF. We're going to create. Now what happens is this opens up. This is using the Monk's Enhanced Journal, which again would be activated using this right here. If I had this off, just spell, this is what it looks like. Pretty straightforward, not really too much. But with it active, Monk's Enhanced Journal just gives you a little bit more customization and viewership options. So with that, go to that journal entry, open up my core rulebook, and right here I'm going to add a page. Click that. I'm going to change my type to PDF, and I'm going to name it core rulebook. Again, create page. What happens is a file explorer opens up, and it's asking me for a PDF source. So I am going to navigate, and what you would want to do is you would want to upload, choose file, and find your copy of your core rulebook. For me, it's in a Traveler GM stuff folder on my desktop. You would select that, open, and then select file, and then save entry. And now there is a copy of the Traveler Core Rulebook available in your journals. And you can change the size of this, change the zoom, etc., etc. The real powerful part of this is, like I said, if you're in a browser, you could pop this out. But on top of that, you can actually show this to your players. So I'm going to hit save entry, close it, and when I hit create a duplicate, I'm just going to delete this first one, and then I hit load PDF here on this page, and that's the core rulebook. But I can show my players this PDF. I can actually right-click, configure ownership of my core rulebook, and I can set all players to observers or owners so they can edit or observe it. And now all players will be able to open this up, click load PDF, and view the rulebook for the game. Again, don't share your rulebooks. I'm not going to share my rulebook. Just copyright is too dangerous. But this is a way for you to share it with your players. Okay? So let's go ahead and jump in with the topic of this video. and that is to make a character. So with the setup I have, I'm going to start by saying, by apologizing first time that I will not be able to share every single thing that I go through in this with you guys because of copyright reasons. I don't want to get in trouble sharing something that I shouldn't. I go through the basics. A lot of the parts that I go through, you will have to have the core rulebook open to follow along. I will try to make it as clear as possible, and I'll try to share things here and there as I can. But the best way to do this is to have the core rulebook, a copy of it for yourselves that you can keep open and follow along. So, first thing I do when I'm running a character in Foundry VTT, I create an actor. This actor's name, I'm just going to call him Green Sethwood. This is a super little name. Opens up my character sheet. Age 18 works. Male, we'll say gender, human, species is human. Homeworld is not important. You can select that later on. And the first thing we do when we make a character is we roll for our characteristics. So on page 10 of the Traveler Guide, you have a list of the characteristics and their modifiers. And the way we roll for these, the way that I choose to roll for these is a 3d6 and subtract the lowest die for each one. So we're going to roll 3d6 6 times, and for each one of those rolls, we're going to take away the lowest. So using my dice straight down here, I'm going to roll 3d6. I'm going to Control C to copy that, and I'm just going to roll it 6 times. 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll let this catch up. And you can check your settings for the dice so nice if you want to speed that up. And then for each of these, I'm just going to go through and I'm going to write down the total, subtracting the lowest one. So the number one will be 6. And then we have 8. And we have 7. And then we have 10. And then we have 8 again. And finally, we have 10. No, we have 12. It's a good roll. Those are my 6 characteristic stats. Normally, at this point, you would give your players access to the core rulebook so they can take a look at the careers, decide which one works best for what they want to go for, and then they would assign those characteristics according to that. This character, I know I want to put him through university, so I'm going to put a lot of points in my education and my intellect, and then I'll just kind of designate from there. So my education, I'm going to start with 12. My intellect, I'll put the 10 there. My social, I'll leave it 7. My endurance, I'll make the other 10. Dexterity, I'll make the 6. Dexterity will make the 8. And strength will make the 6. And that's my 6 characteristics all measured up. I'm not worrying about psionics right now. It's not applicable. Okay. So we have a basic character with a name, gender, species, and age. We have their basic characteristics. The next step is to come up with your background skills. And your background skills will be your education DM +3. You get to choose from a table. Just taking a second to bring up the table. Here we are. Here's that table. And so your education DM +3. So our education DM is +2 currently. And then +3 because of the ruling, and it gives us a total of 5. So 5 of these skills become a plus or become a 0 for us. Picking up this character, I'm going for an educated, smart character. So I'm going to go for electronics, mechanic, admin, science, 2, 3, 4, and we get one more. We'll do animals. Why not? So using the tools that I made in the last thing, I'm going to go to my items tab, my skills, do admin, 0, get animals, 0. I believe I said electronics, mechanic, and science. Electronics. All of these are at level 0, by the way. Science, and mechanics. These are my background skills that just come from being an educated person. Okay, and now we are officially ready to jump into our first term. So our first term is going to be from ages 18 to 22. So I'm going to pop my ages up to 22. And as I said before, I want this character to go into university. So the entry for university is an education roll of 6 or better. Just to share this, it would have a DM -1 if I was in one of the other terms, or a -2 if I was in term 3. And then if my social is 9 or higher, I get a +1. Unfortunately, my social is not or higher, so I'm just rolling at education, and I'm expecting a 6 or better. I'm going to roll education right here. And if I want, I can change difficulties to routine. Doesn't really matter. What I'm looking for is the sum, nothing else. I'll roll. 2 plus 2. But I get an also +2, so that gives me a total of 6, which succeeds in gaining me entry in the university. Now, the first benefit after gaining entry is I get to choose a level 1 and a level 0 skill from the following list. This is my list: admin, advocate, animals, training or veterinary, art, any, astrogation, electronics, any, engineering, any, language, any, medic, navigation, profession, any, and science. You get to choose a level 0 and a level 1. So what I'm going to go for is an astrogation of level 0. And astrogation is the ability to navigate through the stars. If you plan jump routes for your spaceship, astrogation is what is used. And then I will use a navigation. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do astrogation level 1, navigation level 0. It's navigation, righty. And one of the other benefits of going to university and making it is your education score is increased by 1. So my education goes from a 12 to a 13. And on top of that, we get to roll on the pre-career events table, which is a 2D table right here. Just give me to open it. That's not what I want. 1 second. Open. There we go. So the pre-career events table. As you can see, it's a 2D table. So I'm going to roll 2d6 using my dice tray. Roll. That is a 5. Looking at my table, number 5 says, taking advantage of youth, you party as much as you study. Gain carouse 1. So I gain the carouse skill at a level of 1. Very good. I'm going to drag over carouse, make that a level 1. And now that that table has been run through and all of our benefits have been had, we get to see if we graduate. So our graduation roll for university is an intellect roll, 6 or higher. And if we roll a 10 or better, we actually graduate with honors and we get 2 extra benefits. So I'm going to roll an intellect, see what I get. Ooh, 7. 8 total. Unfortunately, that's not for honors, but it does mean I graduate, and we get to look at the graduation benefits. Graduation benefits are as so. So both of the skills chosen before go up by 1 level. So my astrogation goes up to a 2, my navigation becomes a 1. And if there were any specialties under those, I would select the specialty increase instead of increasing the overall skill to 1. My education goes up by an additional point, so I'm out of 14 education. And then I get a +1 to qualify for the following careers: agent, army, corporate citizen, journalist, entertainer, Marines, Navy scout, scholar, and scout. And then if it is a military career, I get to make a commission roll. So I will use this to my advantage. I'm going to actually go into the scholar route because I'm a pretty educated fellow. So I get a +1 to that. So that is my first term. I had my pre-career education, I had my university, I graduated, I gained my skills, and I gained my pre-career again. Now that we're out of university, we go into our first career. And my first career was a scholar. Looking at the scholar stat, this term is going to be from the ages of 22 to 26. So I'm going to change my age to 26. And my qualification for becoming a scholar is an intellect roll 6+ with a -1 for every previous career. I don't have -1. I don't have any previous careers, so that's not applicable. But I do get a +1 for graduating university. So I'm rolling an intellect with an additional +1. So I'm going to roll intellect, and right here at the bottom, my other modifiers, I'm going to do +1, and I will hit roll. That gives me a 6 +1 +1. That's a total of 8. That means I do qualify to become a scholar. Now that I am a scholar, I get to choose one of the assignments. And I think for this character, the survival and advancement roles are based off of education for the physician. So I'm going to go for physician. My character decides to become a doctor. So becoming a physician, I'm going to take a quick note in the description. Graduated university. Sorry, I can't spell. Became a scholar physician. And as your first career, only for your first career, what gets to happen is you get all of your service skills at a level of 0. So for the scholar skill, service skills are these, and I get to receive all of these at level 0 as part of my basic training. So I'm just going to go through drive or flyer. I want to go with drive 0. Electronics is 0, but I already have that, so it doesn't apply. Diplomat is 0. Medic, investigate, and science. Medic, investigate, investigate. Science is already 0, so that's not applicable. So that's my basic training for this job. Now onto my actual skill roll as the career. I get to choose from this list. I have personal development, service skills, physician, or because my education is at least a 10, I get to roll on that table if I wish to. I think for this term, I will roll on the advanced education table. So I'm going to roll a d6. Inside the table, I rolled a 5. Gives me a level in engineer. I get to choose whatever I want. So that makes me a level 1 engineer in a specialty. I think for this playthrough, I go for a life support engineer, level 1. But because I gained a level 1 in an engineer specialty, my overall engineer also becomes 0. Now that we have our skill, we get to roll to survive. For the physician, a survival roll is an education of 4 or better. So I'm going to education. I rolled a 8. That means I do survive, and I get to roll on the events table, which is a 2d6. That table is right here. I'm rolling 2d6, and I'm comparing it to this table. Rolled a 4. That means you are assigned to work on a secret project for a patron or organization. In one of Medic 1, Science 1, Engineer 1, Electronics 1, or Investigate 1. I am going to take I'm going to take Investigate 1. So my Investigate skill becomes a 1. And that's my career event. Now we can roll to see if I advance. My advancement roll is an education of 8 or better. So I will make an education roll. That gives me a 7. I do not advance. However, I do not lose out on this career. So I'm still a physician, just don't advance. Don't advance. That's the end of that term. Our next term is going to be from 26 to 30. So I'll change my age to 30. I'm going to stay in the scholar physician field, so which means I don't have to reroll for qualification. I just get to choose one of my tables and roll on it. So going back, I'm going to choose physician again. So I'm going to roll physician, 1d6. A 3 gets me a skill investigate. Wow, my investigation is getting really good. So my investigation goes up to 2. Now we roll to see if I survive. As a physician, survival is an education roll of 4 or better. So I roll for education. Gives me a 10. I do survive, which means I get to roll on the events table again. 2d6. Roll for that. Gives me a total of 9, which is you make a breakthrough in your field. Gain DM plus 2 to your next advancement roll. Great news. So right now I get to advance, which is an education of 8 plus, but I get to add an additional plus 2 because of that event. 10. I do advance. And now that I have advanced, I become rank up in the position, rank 1, because you go from rank 0 to rank 1. And what that gives me is a skill of Medic 1. It's an automatic bonus of Medic 1, as viewed here. Position, rank 1 becomes, you get your bonus of Medic 1. So I'll give myself Medic. Oh, I already have. So Medic becomes 1. In addition, ranking up gives you an automatic reroll on one of your service table or one of your skill tables. I'm going to do personal development for this one. I'm going to roll a d6. It gives me a 6, which is a language of my choice. Becomes a 1. So this is the table that I just rolled on, and I get a language because of it. So I will go up language. I'm going to go for my language. Overall score becomes 0. I'll do language that becomes a 1. And that is the benefit of my ranking up. In addition, when I leave this career, I will get an additional roll on the mustering out table. But that is the end of my turn. I think what we're going to do is, now that my character has gotten really good at investigation, is we'll say that he's gotten a little bored. No, we'll say he continues. Just make this simple. So he ranks up, succeeds. He's going to continue in his career path as a physician. Excuse me. So again, he does not have to make a qualification roll. He is already a physician. All he gets to do is roll on his table of choice. We're going to do the service skills table for this roll. We're going to do a d6. Gives me a 4, 2, 3, 4. An increase in my medic skill. Medic is now 2. And then we roll to see if he survives this turn. It's an education of 4 or better. Roll an education. 12. Definitely succeeds. So I get to roll on my events table. I'm rolling 2d6. It's an 8. The event is you have the opportunity to cheat in some fashion. Advancing your career in research by stealing another's work, using an alien device, taking a shortcut, or so forth. If you refuse, you gain nothing. If you accept, roll Deception 8 or Admin 8. If you succeed, gain a +2 to any one benefit roll. It may increase any skill by 1 level, but also gain an enemy. If you fail, gain an enemy and lose 1 benefit roll from this career. We're a high stakes roller. We're gonna go for it. So I can do a deception or admin of 8 or better. Well, I can see that my admin is 0, and I don't have a deception, so my admin's better than my deception. So I'm gonna do an admin roll. I'm looking for an 8 or better. Let's hope luck is on our side. 7. I do not make it. So if I fail, I gain an enemy and I lose 1 benefit roll from this career. That's unfortunate. But if I go to my info, I can go to my contacts and I gain an enemy while he was a scholar. So I have one enemy and I gain a benefit roll from this career. So we'll say that rank up that I got, that extra benefit roll, does not do me any good. Alrighty. That's my event. We can roll to see if I advance. So we're looking for an education of 8 or better. 7. I do not advance, so I stay at rank 1. I don't advance. And we're kind of stuck in limbo. Alrighty, with that being the end of that turn, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next. What I'm going to say is that our character has grown a little stale. It feels like his career isn't really progressing, so he wants to make a change. So he's going to muster out of the scholar career. And what that does is that gives him a benefit roll. And his benefit roll will be alright, he gains 1 benefit roll for every full time served in that career, which would be 2, plus a bonus for every rank reached, which would be an additional 1, but he lost 1 because of that event. So he gets 2 benefit rolls for mustering out of the scholars. Here are the benefits table. He gets to roll a d6 twice. And what we'll do is we'll say each one, the first one is the cash roll. You can only take the cash roll 3 times over your traveler's entire career. Entire life, we'll say it that way. So the first one is his credit roll, and then the second one is a benefits roll. So the first one, 4. Pretty good. He gets 30,000 credits. Add that to his finances. His second roll, 5. Even better, he gets scientific equipment. So I'm just going to go to his info, add gained scientific equipment. Spell scientific. Alrighty. So he musters out. He moves on to his next career. That puts him at age 34. And like I said before, he gets kind of bored of being a scholar. He doesn't feel like his career is progressing, so he decides to make a change. He wants to become what does he want to become? He wants to become he's heard about really great money-making schemes becoming a broker for the merchant class. So he decides to become a merchant. From the ages of 30 to 34, he decides to become a merchant. So the first things first, he has to roll for merchant. His qualification to become a merchant is an intellect roll of 4 or better with a -1 for every previous career. He's only had one previous career, so we're looking at an intellect roll of 4 or better with a -1 in addition because of his other career. So we're rolling. 2 and 4 is 6. With the +1, -1, we end up with a total of 6. That means he succeeds, he becomes a merchant. And as we said before, he becomes a broker. So part of changing careers and getting that first job, after your first job, after your first career, you get to choose one of the service skills. His choice on the merchant service skills are as so. He is going to go for broker. So he gets a broker of level 0. And then he gets to choose one of his tables to roll. Fortunately, he does meet the advanced education table, so he's going to roll off of that. So he's going to roll a d6. And on the advanced education table for that, it gives him an astrogation. So his astrogation goes from 2 to 3. Very impressive. He's very good at astrogation. Now we roll to see if he survives. For survival as a broker, we're looking for an education of 5 or better. So we're going to roll for education. Gives me a total of 9. He definitely succeeds. So we get to roll on the events table for that career. That's 2d6. Gives us 8. Reading off of 8 on that events table, we have you are embroiled in legal trouble. Gain 1 of advocate 1, admin 1, diplomat 1, or an investigate 1. Then roll 2d. Roll a 2, you must take the prisoner career in your next turn. Pretty serious. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take admin 1, and then I roll that 2d. If I roll a 2, I become a prisoner. 6. I do not become a prisoner. I get to continue on in this career. Let's go ahead and see if I advance. My advancement roll is an intellect or 7, intellect roll of 7 or better. Roll for intellect. Oh, 12. I do succeed. So I become rank up, merchant, broker, rank 1. That makes me, there's no title, but it does give me a broker 1 skill, which I already don't have. So my broker skill automatically goes up to 1. I get to reroll on my tables. So for this one, I'm going to go for the broker table. So I'm going to roll a d6. 2 gives me advocate, so my advocate skill. Ooh, I gain the advocate skill at level 1. And I will get an additional benefits roll. I decide to leave this job. Advance. I'm level 30, or I'm 34 years old. Unfortunately, since I'm 34 years old, I'm at the end of my term. That means I get to roll on the aging table. That's on page 50 of your core rulebook. And how this works is you roll 2d6 and you use your number of terms as a negative modifier for your rolls. So I have had 4 terms so far, so I'm doing a 2d6 minus 4. Ooh, I'm at a -1. -1 results in reducing 2 physical characteristics by 1. So my physical characteristics are strength, dexterity, and endurance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce my dexterity and my strength by 1. Or I'm sorry, my dexterity and my endurance by 1. It's an aging effect, but no real harm comes out of it. Alrighty, with 34 that we could muster out, we could become travelers and we could move on with our lives. But you know what? We're feeling kind of lucky. We're going to go for it again. We're going to do one more turn. That's going to put us up to age 38 as a merchant, broker level 1. And we're going to roll. So we're going to choose this time we're going to choose the personal development. Hopefully we'll get to make up one of those skills. Roll a 1d. Gives us a 1. Our strength goes up a 1. We work out a little bit, we get a little stronger. Now we get to roll to see if we survive. That's an education of 5 or better. 8 total. We do survive, so we get to roll in the personal or the events table. That's 2d6. Gives us an 8. Already rolled that. You are embroiled in legal trouble. Gain 1 of advocate 1, admin 1, diplomat 1, or investigate 1. Then roll to 2d. So I have admin 1, I have advocate 1. I don't have diplomat 1. So I'm going to take diplomat 1. I think I did have that. Our diplomat 1, and then we roll 2d. If we roll a 2, we become a prisoner. 7. I do not become a prisoner. I survive. We go and see if I advance. That's an intellect roll of 7 or better. Ooh, 13. I do succeed. So I become a merchant broker rank 2. That is unfortunately, that does not come with any outstanding benefits other than another roll on the table. So I'm going to choose another table. I'm going to do personal development again. So roll d6. A 1 gives me another strength increase to 8. I've been working out a lot. And that's the benefit I get for advancing. Now that I'm 38, I get to roll on the aging table again with a -5. So I'm rolling 2d6 minus 5. A total of 2. Fortunately, off the aging table, that means I do not suffer any negative aging benefits. What we're going to do is we're going to muster out as a broker. So since I reached rank 2 as a broker, I only get 1 extra roll on the mustering out benefits table. But I also get 2 more because I spent 2 turns in here. So we're going to do the first one is cash roll. 6. Impressive. 40,000 credits to my, so my 30,000 becomes 70,000 credits. Second roll, 2, I get an intellect increase to by 1. And my last benefits roll, another 2, intellect increase to 12. There we go. He would muster out as a traveler at 38 years old. With these skills, you could change your avatar, make it whatever you want, but this is your character. That's how it goes. Hey guys, quick little add-on to the last character. I forgot to actually apply the scientific equipment that I gained during one of my benefits. So I have the core rulebook opened up on my other monitor. I'm going to go to equipment, my tabs list, scroll down for a while. Keep going, looking for scientific toolkits. You know what? I'm actually going to go up to my traveler creation tab, scroll down to the benefits tab part of that. So get there. Here we go. Other benefits. Scientific equipment. Gain any one piece of scientific equipment with a limit of credit 2,000 and tech level 12. If you roll this benefit again, take another piece of scientific equipment and regain 1 level in electronics or science. I get to take CR 2000 or tech level 12. So I'm going to go to my equipment, scroll down to scientific equipment. My character had a good science skill. Oop, nothing too crazy. Well, his astrogation was pretty good. So you know what? We'll see. He had a planetology science toolkit. So I'm gonna go to his inventory under equipment and tools. I'm gonna create new equipment, edit it. We're gonna say planetology science toolkit. And there we go. Description, I'm gonna say DM +1 to tasks related to the environment conditions, life forms using the science specialities of biology, genetics, or xenology. Biology specialties. Specialties. There we go. There we go. That's the last thing I forgot. Cool.